It's like horror in general in gaming. Something I consider
Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, good to see you. Welcome to another week of EECS 298. There's not a lot of you here, and I know why, and I know where you were, because you were awake with me at about 4 to 5 a.m. last night, because I saw you on the Google document, okay? So, for those of you who happen to be watching the live stream, you're somehow still awake. It's my snapshot robot doesn't get everyone's cloned and snapshotted right away at 1:30. It can actually take a few hours due to some of my programming mistakes. And so, if you're not quite there, having build issues, maybe you've got a little bit more time, but I couldn't tell you how much. So, those of you who did get everything in, well done. Very good job. I know that it can be a bit frustrating with Unity build issues, with strange errors popping up, especially in this first semester, when some of the homeworks are a little bit more ambiguous than they'll probably will be in the future, and when some of the technical issues kind of pop up and delay you a little bit. So good job getting everything done on time and getting everything in, and hopefully your comfort with Unity is starting to build a little bit, right? Kind of the slow build. There's a lot of stuff in Unity. There's a lot of UI. A lot of things can go wrong. But hopefully you're getting to the point where you can kind of start to get characters in and you can start to get some animations working at least, okay? That'll get you a lot of points. Even on the final project, that'll get you quite a few points, okay? So there's a... Guys, I might be wrong about this, but it feels like there's this really interesting new strategy we've kind of all decided to take up for the homeworks, where we wait until all the office hours for the week are done, and then everyone piles in to go finish the assignment. So remember, we have office hours pretty much every day of the week in this course, including on like Saturdays and Sundays. But after we hit like 7 o'clock on Sunday, I can't really help you. Can't help you too much, okay? But I can help you if you want to get things done at 3:30 today. So we're going to have some office hours like we always do. And again, who knows? Maybe the snapshot bot's running a bit slow. It usually is. Maybe you can sneak it in, okay? Probably not going to be possible next semester, but for this debut semester, that might be an advantage for you. Okay, so if you look at where we are on the schedule, there's not a whole lot left to do, okay? We have the number 10, homework number 10, interactive environments, launching today. In fact, it's now available. I'm going to talk about that in just a sec. I think this will be a little bit more of a fun one, especially now that you've got that Tofu character under your belt. You've got him brought into your game. You're going to do that a couple more times. You're going to do that with Daisy. And she has kind of an interesting kind of facial animation setup that I'm going to show you how to construct today. And then you're going to get to bring a character of your choosing into the 3D platformer. Finally, you get to make your own character, or you get to grab a character you've made or a character you found even online. You can choose and bring them into the 3D testbed. You'll start to customize it. You're going to bring in environmental objects as well. Last week, you got signed up for the recording booth in Groundworks just across the hall. This week, you will get to use that recording booth if you make a reservation quickly, okay? There probably won't be enough reservable hours for everyone to use the recording booth. So, for those of you who can't use the recording booth, you can just use any microphone that you find. You could be a laptop or phone microphone. But if you do use the recording booth and snap a selfie in it, you're going to get a little bit of extra credit for doing that. Okay? So, get those reservations in if you can, especially everyone watching the lecture, right? Lots of people probably not watching the lecture for a few days, so that's going to be your points to just snag, okay? Not too bad. If you look at where we are, we've got 10 interactive environments. We then have 11 special effects. I think the special effects homework is going to be pretty easy, pretty short, because we're just going to do a few things and maybe a few exercises. And then the custom game project. We are getting to the point where the homeworks are becoming a little bit less hand-holdy, okay? The problems aren't so much, click this, watch this video, look at this is why this happened, click this, do this, right, done. The problems are becoming a little bit more of, hey, you've already created a character, go create me another character with these properties, okay? Or go, you know how to manipulate objects, you know how to import things, go import some big objects into your testbed, okay, from scratch. So when we get to the custom game project, this homework assignment, your final project, okay, you're going to have 3 weeks to do it, but we only expect you to use 2 of those weeks. We expect you to take Thanksgiving break off completely. And it's basically just going to be a checklist of things we want from you in your final game, okay? Just a checklist of things you need, and that's going to be it. You meet those checklists, check those boxes, you get those points, okay? So we are almost there. And there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. So hang in there, especially if homework 9 was a little bit gnarly for you. Hopefully homework 10 won't be as bad. It is a formidable homework. I'll show it to you in just a sec. But yeah, so today we don't have a whole lot to do. It's another one of those kind of first debut semester kind of days. But I do want to show you how you can set up a low poly character to be completely animatable via the armature with the facial expressions, okay? One of the interesting things about how Blender and Unity cooperate and integrate is that, in general, in Blender, an action is going to be associated with one object, okay? So if you have an action that's manipulating the armature, right, to make your character do a walk cycle, well, you can't also have that same action manipulate the shape keys, right, that make the character smile or make their mouth open and close, that kind of stuff. What's more, as far as I know, Unity does not like animations you make that use shape keys. So it will be hard to import that. If you make shape keys, you can actually program them and manipulate them via C# code in Unity. But the actual animations you make that use those shape keys, I don't think they come over properly. So we need a way to animate our characters' facial expressions without using shape keys. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to use kind of a funky technique, but we're going to parent our different facial objects. We're going to have some objects, some simple planes with some eyes UV'd over them, and we're going to basically parent that to a detached bone, and we can bring those bones inside and outside of the skull of the character to basically make a facial expression in any combination we want appear or disappear at a moment's notice. And you can keyframe those bones to get exactly the facial expression you want when you want it. So I'm going to show you how to set that up today. And I'm on about 45 minutes of sleep last night. Let me say, 45 minutes of sleep is wildly better than 0. Like, I don't feel nearly as bad as I did last time. What was the last time? Was it homework 9, I think? Just a week ago that I had 0 sleep when I was up here. So that was nasty. But I feel quite a bit better. Maybe it's just all the Red Bull I've been chugging. Anyway, okay, you finished up homework 9, and I know that some of the building challenges, it turns out on Windows, your paths, your file paths have a very finite limit to their length. And in Unity, your project files can go pretty deep. They can have very deep paths. Well, if you take your Git repo and you put it deep into your Windows file system, like, C drive, users, your username, documents, developer, Blender, homework, right? You are putting your repo deep into the drive, into the file system. And then the Unity project itself has a lot of very deep directories and long paths it tends to make. That can cause a lot of strange issues to pop up. So that's something that the homeworks have kind of actually shifted. So we're no longer recommending you do homework 9 for your folder. We're recommending HW9. HW10, because that shortens the path for anything you might put in that folder. Anyway, if you go back to homework 1, it now strongly recommends you put your Git repository not deep into your file system, but like right into your C drive users username folder. So it's just very close to the root of your drive. Hopefully that will kind of clamp down on some of these issues you've been seeing. But some of these are just, Unity is not the world's most stable piece of software. So I got some really good advice from one of my undergraduate professors, David Chesney. He said, you want to start things early, okay? Not just to get them out of the way early, but to give yourself time to run into problems. If you run into a problem with 5 days remaining, there are tons of office hours, right? I have a lot of time available to help you to explore what the issue might be and help you fix it. You have a lot of time to get a eureka moment and experiment a bit and then solve it yourself. You have a lot of time to talk with friends and figure out how they might have gotten past it or to notice the issue being solved on Discord. If you wait until the last night of the assignment, you are giving yourself no time for any of that, and you're going to be trying to solve some pretty tricky challenges alone and at 3 a.m. with very little sleep and full of stress, okay? You don't learn effectively that way, and you also can't overcome problems effectively that way. If you get onto a film or game team in the industry and you get into a heavy crunch, right? You've heard that word before, crunch. When you're working 6 days a week, 12-hour days, hopefully that doesn't happen to you, but sometimes it happens even at great studios. You are not very productive during that time. For the amount of time you put in, you're not getting as much out as you normally would. Okay, you're just degraded top to bottom. So anyway, do the best you can. I know that everyone's schedules are very tight, and I know there's lots of exams and projects, okay? Just do the best you can. And the extra credit is going to come in and help you at the end of this course. So we even have another extra credit opportunity coming up next week. For anyone who contributes models or characters to an EECS 494 game team project, you're going to get a big bundle of points for doing that. Okay? And I don't think that'll require a lot of work either. So that should really, really help you out. We'll talk more about that next week, okay? We'll talk a little bit about Homework 10, okay? This is probably the coolest looking shot from Greek Tragedy. This is a game I just released for Nintendo Switch and all the consoles and Steam. I think it's like a bomb, or like it's sold like, I said it was probably, years ago I said this game is not viral at all. The marketing isn't working. It's going to sell like 3 copies. My business partner comes to me a few days ago and says, Austin, congratulations, we sold 10. That's sad. That's not very good, okay? It's a good thing I'm not a marketer, huh? But anyway, one cool thing about this shot is the fog, right? The blue colors. Amy kind of running down this hallway, and the camera actually kind of shifts along this rail. It kind of rotates, gives you the Dutch angle, the twist, as you move through it. Now, some of these things we can't really do in this course, unless you want to get into the C# and do some programming, which you can definitely do. But the environments that a character moves through are pretty much, when done well, they can feel very much like characters in and of themselves. And so that is something we're going to be thinking about a little bit today. The first problem has you playing a survival horror game. This is Slide in the Woods, a 15-minute long itch.io game, totally free. And yet it outsold, actually, a fairly recent big-budget Sony blockbuster. Indies really are taking over, and it's a topic that I'm going to talk more about, the potential that you have with the skills that you now have, okay? You do not need to be a master-level artist or programmer to have an impact these days. But you are going to play Slide in the Woods. If horror is a little bit tough of a genre for you, it's not that scary. And you are very much encouraged to play it with friends. You can even play it with the lights on, the audio off if you need to. But the environment, the atmosphere, just not going to be the same, okay? So you're going to play Slide in the Woods and write a short reflection about what you noticed about this really fantastic game. We then have a problem that is going to have you bring big environmental objects like the pyramid, okay? Well, hopefully not the pyramid, right? You're going to make something for your own story that you're thinking about. And you're going to bring it into the 3D test bed. You're going to have an environmental piece. You're going to have an inverted normal interior, right? If you remember, the kind of inner area of the tomb has a lot of that technique being used. You're going to update the main menu scene, and you're going to update the continue screen as well. I think a lot of people don't notice that Luigi actually gets enabled by you freeing him, and then he appears here to help you out, which is kind of cool. So you're going to get a chance to bring some of the objects maybe that you've made for daily models or earlier in the course into Unity, and hopefully they're going to kind of fit your theme. If you noticed, we are kind of building toward your final project. We're kind of chipping away at characters and objects and ideas for it. You can totally go in a different direction if you get to the final project and you decide you want to do that. But you don't have to. You can use a lot of this stuff as a good kind of starting point and refine it during that final project. You're going to be allowed to do that. Mic drop, you're going to get some time with the recording booth facility on campus. You're going to try out a little bit of voice acting. I will say one of the best tips that I've ever learned, I'm not really a voice actor. I don't think I'm that great at it, but what you really want to do is you want to go into all of your lines with as much air in your chest and your lungs as possible. It gives you so many options when it comes to distorting your voice, even for a long amount of time. And now I'm running out of air, and it's like, But you really want to do that deep breath before you go in. It just gives you a lot of control and a lot of options over your voice. You might be surprised how different your voice can sound if you want to when you have that extra air in your chest, okay? So Anyway, you're going to get a chance to play around that with a little bit, just practice. When you get to the final project, you'll be able to grab a friend if you want to. And I think next week we're going to do the playable character voice. This week you're going to do the announcer voice, okay? And you're going to learn how audio works in this test bed. Have any of you heard of WISE or FMOD? There's this idea that from the game's code, from the gameplay, these events, these audio events are going to kind of flow. And you kind of pluck those audio events out of thin air and you respond to them with a group of audio files. Sometimes just one, okay? And if that's the case, that's the audio file that will always play when that event happens. But you might have a group of 5 sound effects or files, and one of those will randomly be chosen. Have you ever noticed in the game, you'll have a footstep sound effect, right? So every time, right? But actually, if you listen carefully to them, each footstep sound effect is slightly different. The pitch is different. It has kind of just a different feel to it. What's happening is that the footstep event is coming through, and sometimes it's specialized, like footstep snow event, footstep gravel event, footstep concrete event. And there's going to be like 5 or 6 files that correspond to that event, and one of them will be chosen at random. Anyway, that's kind of how it's going to work, right? So when you get killed in the tomb raiding game, and you get like one of 3 different things that the announcer says, right? So that's part of a group of files responding to, what is it called? Vocal_life lost audio event. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So you're going to learn about all this, and you're going to plug things in and record some of your own stuff. Again, if you can't make it into the recording booth, you can still get a good quality result. You just have to go into Audacity and kind of clean things up afterward. Okay, not a huge deal, really. Why did all of my spaces get messed up? I think I'm just rendering this wrong, maybe? Yes, it's rendering wrong. So if you look at my cursor right now, very close up, oh, it's because I'm at 130%. That's why. It was just rendering strangely. Okay, anyway. So hopefully that'll be fun for you. You're going to be venturing out to find background music as well this week. You're going to be going out to freesound.org and opengameart.org to collect cool sound effects. Well, not sound effects this week, but background music. Sound effects probably next week. Yeah, you'll be plugging them in. That's a really short one. Should be really fun. Audio is the key to the heart. If you want the player to feel something, you have to work really hard to get that to happen with dialogue or aesthetics, like visual aesthetics. Or you can just grab a sound, you just grab some music, okay, and boom, you've got like 70% of your emotion right there in that music track, and you're well on your way to getting the emotional tone that you want, okay? So, all right, so there's even an interaction BGM. Did any of you see that? There's an interaction component called Interaction BGM, which allows you to switch the music pretty much any time, which is really, really cool. This is probably the hardest problem in the entire homework, problem 5, okay? And what makes this hard is that this is a character that actually has facial expressions, okay? If you've looked, Daisy usually, you give her those like determined eyes and like closed, happy-ish smile. And that's it. That's all we use. But actually, if you look at the textures available, oh my goodness, we have all sorts of different eyes and we have different mouths as well. We want to be able to use that, but how? Okay? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that today. And the homework, when you get to it, is going to remind you of how to do that and walk you through it. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of messy. It's a little bit painful. But once you get this set up, not too bad. It's kind of nice. And it just works when you bring it over to Unity, okay? Have you ever heard that phrase before? It just works, right? Where have you heard that before?
Todd Howard.
Todd Howard. All right, Bethesda Game Studios. They are, yeah, like they're a heck of a company, aren't they? Heck of a studio. They are the jankiness of their technology and their approach to pretty much everything is just like, that's them. If they made a super polished, like Naughty Dog game, I'd be like, it just doesn't feel right. Okay? Anyway. All right. So, I have a lot to say about Bethesda and their history, right? I remember a time when if you wanted to play a huge game, like a genuinely massive scale game, Bethesda was the only team in town who could deliver. And yeah, it was going to be super buggy, and yeah, the writing wasn't going to be amazing, okay? But they could deliver scale like no other team. In 2025, every game under the sun is open world and massive, too massive for its own good. So, in a world where every game delivers massive scale, what exactly is Bethesda delivering? And it's like their main strength became commoditized. Have you ever heard that phrase? I don't know if I got the phrase exactly right, but commoditize your weaknesses. Have you ever heard about that? So Mark Zuckerberg is way behind in the AI race. Google is way ahead of him, beating him to the punch with AI. OpenAI is beating him. Microsoft is way ahead. So Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and Meta are last in the AI race. So you know what they're going to do? They're going to create an AI model called Llama, an AI system called Llama. They're going to make it open source and free. And all the other companies are like saying, damn, okay? Because, well, Facebook is a bit behind, so we're going to try and take these strengths our opponent has, these weaknesses we have, we're going to make it free, we're going to make it cheap, commoditize it. Okay, I know AI is a spicy topic, but that's kind of that's kind of what they're trying to do. Anyway, all right, so enough tangents, okay? What's going to happen here is we're going to create a bunch of different bones that are going to kind of hide in Daisy's face like this. And you can see them all in there. This is when naming your bones and naming your objects becomes a lifesaver. Okay, this just isn't really possible unless you've got a really good naming scheme going on. So we're going to show you how to do that today. And then as you watch this right here, we can kind of push the determined eyes back into the skull to hide them, and we can pull out the dizzy eyes, and just like that, we keyframe them, and now we have an animation that goes between the expressions as we want. Okay, pretty cool stuff. You're going to set this all up, and then you're going to make some actions, okay? You are going to bring in the actions that you saw in the version that I made, okay? The tomb raiding game you played at the start of Homework 8. So, more practice for importing characters. And then, guess what you're going to do? More practice for importing characters. So you're going to bring in a custom character, i.e. some character that isn't Tofu, the snake that you already have, or Daisy. Okay? This can be an original character. That'd be kind of cool. This can be a fan fiction fan art character, or some model you get from the model's resource. Okay? Hopefully this won't be too bad. This might be a lot nicer than you thought. A question, do you need, so you created an animation controller for Tofu this week, and it probably was kind of painful. I came in with a tutorial, but it came in like last night, so, kind of late. Next semester's students or next year's students will really appreciate it, but it's kind of cold comfort for you, isn't it? Kudos if you figured it out without needing my explanation. Well done. Do you need to create another animation controller that's going to be kind of similar, just with different animations? The answer is no. Okay? You have already created an animation controller that works well for a third-person platforming character. It has all the states we need. It has all the variables, parameters we need. It has all the nice transitions and conditions set up. If you think about it, what worked for Tofu should work for Daisy and for your custom character. The only thing that needs to change is instead of using Tofu's animation clips, actions, we just want to use like different ones for a different character. So that's where this thing, really, really cool thing called an animation override comes in. You can actually see me creating one here. I don't actually fully use it because I don't have a second character actually in this particular project. But we created an animation, not an animation controller, but the thing right next to it in the menu, the animation controller override. This allows us to plug in an animation controller like the one you made for Tofu. And then once we do that, we're going to get all these little slots where we can substitute our own different animations. And boom, you can now use this animation controller override and just put that onto the animator component instead. And you're done, just like that. Okay, so if you're smart about this, you can move quite fast. And you'll find that most of the time you're spending is actually in Blender trying to make those animations look as cool as can be. And so that's what you're going to do. All right, I hope you look forward to it. All of this is going to get way faster the more times you do it. And you're going to have to make multiple playable characters for that final project. So we got to get some work in, okay, on making these characters. Okay, I think next week we're going to do like the dynamic like physics and stuff and hair and capes and stuff like that. That should be a lot of fun. So special effects in a sense. Does anyone have any questions about this homework assignment? Okay, hopefully it's going to be fun. We'll see. I think if anything's not going to be fun, it's going to be this sucker right here, which is why we're actually going to take a look at it today. I think it's very beneficial. So you know how I'm not a biologist, I'm not a neurosurgeon, you know, how memory tends to work is you don't just need to get a good explanation of something to where you understand it. You need to get that over time. You need to see a piece of content. You need to engage with an idea, not just once. That's almost never enough. You have to hit it once, and then maybe a few days later, and boom, you just pushed it into medium-term memory. And then if you hit it one more time, a week later, boom, now it's in long-term permanent memory. So it's really, I think, a good thing that you can see part of this problem in lecture. And then a few days later, when you start the homework, you're going to kind of see and engage with it again. So hopefully that'll really help put it into your memory. Okay? So, yeah, ready to go? We'll probably finish a bit early. You can finish the daily model. You can do office hours with me if you want to, some extra office hours. You're going to start from this Daisy model that's kind of the same as the one that you've kind of fixed up. Now, you can start from the exact model you fixed up last week if you want to, but I kind of recommend starting from this one. Just kind of start fresh, and I already set up some things for you. For instance, I changed, let's see if I can find the display. Yeah, I changed the bone from octahedral to stick, okay? Why would I go for stick for this particular operation? Yeah, exactly. Like these things are really nice, especially they give you a sense of direction, right? But these are chunky, okay? And we're going to have a lot of these inside of Daisy's skull, so it's going to get very messy very quickly. So the stick display is going to kind of delay that disaster for us. Okay, so I'm on 45 minutes of sleep, so hopefully I can remember what I did last night to make this all work. But if I mess up, I apologize. So here's the situation, everyone. Here's the situation. This looks really good. If you look at how Daisy's face is constructed, this particular character actually doesn't really have much going on. Like, look at this, okay? You can actually remove these two objects, one object representing her mouth and one object representing her eyes. And if you do so, it's just kind of blank like this. This is actually how I got her life icon. So I removed those two, and then I just made her hair a bit shorter to make the kind of icon a bit more squarish, and that's what you see in the HUD. But if you look at these objects and look at their UVs, you'll notice something pretty exciting. If you go and look at these, I'll switch to the UV tab, you can see that the texture we're using actually has a bunch of other awesome things on it as well. It has these eyes, and it has the mouth. If you recall back in our, I think, homework 3 materials homework, you actually manipulated these UVs in order to change her expression, okay? And you actually drew your own expression on here as well, right? So very, very cute, very charming. And now the question is, well, how can we get a good bone-based way to animate this? And so here's what we're going to do, okay? Here's what we're going to do. And by the way, what we're going to do is actually fairly common. I'm going to show you a cutscene from Spyro 2, way back on the PlayStation 1. This is the kind of game I grew up on. Very, very young when I played this game. take a look at this cutscene. Notice how surprisingly effective it is at telling, the story it wants to tell. It's kind of funny. And also watch the eyes, okay? It's very transparent because they get a close-up during this cutscene. Watch this. Okay. In Spyro 2, there are quite a few different stages you go to. And at the beginning of the stage, you always get a short, funny cutscene showing what the denizens of that area are dealing with in terms of problem. And then at the end, once you've completed the stage, as you leave the stage, you get a cutscene that shows them celebrating a victory or shows how you changed the fate of the area. And so really, really a good, minimalist, but very charming, full of personality storytelling. Okay, so you see that that character had separate eye and mouth objects as well. I noticed the eyes most of all. So here's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to say, I want 4 of these expressions. There are more than 4, but I actually just want 4 of them. And that's going to be good enough for most of our animations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this eye object, Shift D. I'm going to pull it out on the Y-axis, kind of like this, okay? I'm going to do that a few more times, actually. So Shift D, pull it out on the Y-axis. Shift D, pull it out on the Y-axis. I now have 4 different expressions that I could have. I'm going to go to this first set of eyes. They're the determined eyes that we already have. I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of grab those. I'm going to move these. What should they be? Let's make this like the dizzy eyes. Okay, and I'm just kind of getting them right. I don't want to get any of this mouth down here because I got a little bit of that going on, but it looks like I'm looking pretty good there. So I'm going to grab this object next, okay? Edit mode, I'm going to grab those UVs. What should we grab next? Let's grab the happy eyes. Let's go ahead and just bring those right down like this. And I think we pretty much have those. Don't want to get any of that mouth. Okay, we don't want any mouth texture on our eye object. So I'm going to grab the final one, and I'm going to go and I'm going to grab these eyes. This either looks like she's laughing or she's been KO'd, and it completely depends on the mouth, okay? So we're just going to grab the eyes here, and I think that looks all right. We can adjust those later if we want to. But now you see we have 3 different objects, and each of them are showing different eyes. And now I want to do the same thing with the mouth object. I'm going to Shift D and then hit Y to just kind of bring these out. I'll kind of keep them aligned. Yeah, I don't really need to have them aligned, but Shift D, pull it out, Y. Now I have a second or a third object, and Shift D, Y, I have my 4th mouth object. The one up here and ready to go is the kind of, we're going to call it the closed happy mouth. So we want to change this one to something else. Let's go ahead and grab that one. What should we grab? I'm going to grab the closed unhappy mouth, okay? So something like right here, okay? And you can look at it. It's a bit hard to see, but now it is kind of upside down. It's a little frown. Let's go ahead and grab this object, grab all those UVs, and I'm just going to pull them over. I want this to be maybe the happy open mouth, just like that. And I'm going to grab this final mouth object, grab its UVs, and I want that to be the open but unhappy mouth like this, okay? And now you can see that we have 4 eye objects, and they're all showing different ones, different expressions, and we have 4 mouth objects, and we're showing different expressions on all of those. The idea here is that we're going to be able to kind of mix and match these however we want. So how are we going to get started here? Well, we need some sort of bone that's going to allow us to pose the bone and move these eyes in and out, right? We want to be able to bring the eyes out like this to show the eyes, but we want to be able to hide those eyes back within the skull just like that as well. And we want to not move the object, but move the bone. Because remember, we're creating actions that are going to be associated with the armature, which means it is like Bones all the way down, okay? It's the only thing we can manipulate, really, unless we want to create more actions. And then we have to synchronize them on the Unity side of things. And oh, it's going to be nasty, okay? You can definitely do that. There's an interesting topic called layers, where you can be running multiple animations at the same time on the same character. That is, for example, if you look at the top of the homework here, Amy usually does not run this way in Greek tragedy, okay? You can see that she is running with her arm, right? Her, her left arm kind of at her stomach, right? This is what the character is programmed to do when you are at low health, okay? One more hit will take you out. And what's happening here is that her character, her armature, is actually running two different animations. Her left arm is running an animation that looks like this, right? Like about to puke. While the rest of her body is just running a typical jogging animation. When you combine them, you get this kind of combined hurt jogging animation, which is what you want. And we can use C# code in Unity. Your engineering team can program it so that it kind of blends between the two the more you get hurt. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so we need a way to move these, which means we need a new bone. Let's go into our armature. I'm going to click that, go into edit mode. And this right here is the head bone. Okay, we really want all of these facial expressions to rotate when the head rotates. We want it to, move and translate when the head moves and translates. This is all to say, we want bones that are going to be parented to this head bone right here. And if I want to know what the name of this bone is, I can click the bone and go to this little bone button right here, and it's called head. That's awesome. If we ever get confused, because there are going to be a lot of bones in here, then we can click on the bone, we can check what the name is to make sure we got the right one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this kind of orthogonal or orthographic kind of side view, and I'm going to grab this head bone, go Shift D. I just created a duplicate, but I'm going to hit Y because I want to bring this out here just to intersect with my eyes right here. Now, if you see the bone view right here in the properties pane is telling us we created a bone called head.001. That's the classic thing that happens when you copy or duplicate anything in Blender. It just adds that 001. The next one will be a 002. We can even prove it, right? So 002. I'm going to Control-Z, get rid of that one. I want this to have a really good name. And so, what should it be?
Expression.
Well, yeah, first thing I'm going to say is, I'm going to say it's a bone, okay? So I'm going to put bone there, and then we can say, well, what kind of thing is it going to be doing? It's going to be manipulating the eyes, the determined eyes, okay? So I'm going to call this bone, let's call this eyes determined. And by the way, I kind of made a mistake. I got too ahead of myself because we want to give all of these objects really good names. If you look at the names, oh, they're just awful, okay? They're terrible. So these eyes right here, this object is named eyes determined. That's good. This mouth right here is called mouth happy, and it is closed, so that's good. These dizzy eyes are eyes determined 001 because we duplicated to make that object. So I'm instead going to call this eyes dizzy, and I'm going to call this right here, let's call this eyes happy, and this last one is going to be eyes KO, okay? Now for the mouth objects. This mouth object is named fine. It's mouth happy closed. This one is kind of closed and it's unhappy. So I'm going to name this one mouth unhappy closed. Okay? Over here, it's now happy and open. So let's go mouth happy open. And right here it is unhappy open. So let's call this one mouth unhappy open. Yep, no underscores, okay? All right, you can name these whatever you want, but keeping it consistent is going to make these easier to find later. So let's go back to our bone right here. Now the thing is, usually when we have some geometry, we have an object, we want to parent it to the overall armature. So we just kind of grab, whatever. We grab the object, like the torso here or the arm, and we're going to shift-click this and go Control-P, and then with automatic weights. We're not going to do that this time. Okay? Right now, we have this bone right here, and we're actually going to select the bone in edit and make sure it's the one that we're going to add to. We're going to parent this object, this eye object, to that one bone. But actually, I forgot another thing. You know what I forgot? Let's go into pose mode and make sure this bone is going to do what we want. You ready? I'm going to rotate Daisy's head. Oh no. What happened? This bone is just detached from everything. It's not parented to the head bone. So we need to do that parenting. Let's go to edit mode where we can set these relationships up. I'm going to click on the bone I want to parent to, shift click the head bone, control P, keep offset. Now we can verify that this parenting relationship is set up just right, because this bone that's going to represent the eyes is going to rotate with the head as it rotates. See? Looking good, okay? All right. So what are we going to do now? Let's go to the bone. And a reminder, you don't have to really be following or taking any notes or trying to keep up. You're just trying to kind of get the spirit of what's happening, okay? You don't even need the details. The homework will take care of that later. Try and predict what I'm going to do next, okay? And so what we need to do is we need to take this bone, not the whole armature, just this bone, and we need to parent this eyes determined object to that one bone. So we need to go into edit mode and we need to specifically select this one bone. We have it selected now. So when we go to parent to the bone, it's going to choose this one that we just selected. You have to go into edit mode and you have to select that one bone. Otherwise, it'll get very confused. We're going to grab the eye object, shift click the armature. Nope, I missed. I hit her hair. Grab the eye object, shift click the armature, good, control P, and I'm not going to do with automatic weights, I'm going to do with the bone, okay, the one individual bone. All right, and now, how can we test this? Well, let's go into pose mode on our armature, and I'm just going to move this bone around, and look, I'm moving the bone as if I would in any animation, and I'm bringing it out, making it go away, and bringing it back in, because I want to show this particular set of eyes, okay? Okay, so we now have a bone that can control our eyes. The next thing I want to do is I want to say, you know what? I'm going to put this bone deep into her skull because that's just the default resting state I want this character to be in. Kind of like the T pose, right? It's a good default resting state. You can start a lot of animation work from that pose. We want to we don't want to make any assumptions about what eyes we want out at any given time. So we're going to take all the eye bones, put them into the head, and we're going to apply that transformation so that that's now the default. So here's what we're going to do. Grab that bone in pose mode, so Y along the Y-axis, put it kind of into the skull so that you can't actually see them anymore. Look around, make sure it's not poking out of the cheek. And now I'm going to hit A to grab all bones, go to pose, and I'm going to go to apply pose as rest pose. Now, if I'm ever in an animation and I hit A and I want to reset things, I can go to pose, clear, transform all, and I get reset to none of my eyes being there, okay? Which is exactly what we want, because maybe we want to bring out a different set of eyes, all right? So we have another eye object. We have 3 more eye objects to do, okay? So let's go ahead and repeat that process. I'm going to bring this eye object over here, grab Y-axis, just kind of bring it up until I think it looks really good. Bring it in too far and it kind of melts into her face. Don't want that. But this looks good from a lot of different angles. You can test it by turning off all this if you want to. Looks awesome. Looks kind of crazy. And so now what are we going to do? Going to go to the orthogonal mode. Going to go into that armature, go to edit mode. We want to duplicate that head bone again. Shift D to do that. Lock to the Y-axis, hit Y, bring it out to those eyes. We need to name it. So what are we going to name it? This should be bone, because it's a bone. Eyes. Dizzy. Bingo. Yep, to keep it kind of in sync with our other object. Okay, rock and roll. Now, this needs to have its parent relationship set up. Don't forget that. So we're going to click this bone. We're going to parent it to that head bone. Control P, keep the offset. And now I'm going to parent this eye object to the actual bone. In edit mode, we need to click this one bone so that Blender knows which bone we want to parent this eye object to, right? So grab that eye object, click to the armature, Control P. Don't use automatic weights, just go straight to the bone. And you can verify this is working by going to pose, grabbing the bone, and then we're just going to move it in and out and in and out. This is how we change those expressions midway through our own. Oh, that's kind of cool. Doesn't it look a bit like, ooh, it's a bit scary. Okay? Very, very fierce. So it looks great. Now that's just kind of like messed up. Okay, so good. All right, we're basically done. Go ahead and grab it, and we just kind of move it into the skull here. Try and kind of keep it a little bit away from the other bones, so at least there's a chance we can click between them. And now, to grab all the bones, pose, and we're going to apply all these bones as the resting state. Okay? I'm going to do this a few more times. So you know that in the industry, like there are dedicated roles just for people who set up models like this and rig them and set up all the little tools and gizmos so that the animator has a very easy time deciding which face, expression they want at what frame, right? So this is kind of tedious, I think, but you have to be a bit creative to set this up in the first place. And then, like there are some big studios where this is all you do, except you're doing it for really AAA luxurious characters and lots of them. Okay, so anyway, we got to keep going. So let's go ahead and grab this next object over here, move it onto the face so it kind of looks cool. Okay, that's kind of cute. Let's go right here. Not too far into the face, otherwise it looks strange, especially from side angles. Okay, looks good. So let's go ahead and go into orthographic, go back into our object, get ourselves another copy of that head bone, Shift D, bring it out on the Y-axis so they're all kind of uniform, right over the eyes. I'm going to go ahead and name it. Let's go eyes, and then, bone. Bone, eyes, happy. We're going to set up that parenting relationship. If we forget to set up the parenting relationship, when Daisy turns her head, like the eyes are going to be left behind. It'll be really creepy, okay? So we need to set up that parenting relationship so that when the head bone moves, this eye bone will move. Okay, keep offset, looks good. And then we're going to select this, go into object mode, and we're going to say, hey, I want you to go ahead and parent to the bone. And let's go back into pose mode and just make sure it's working, okay? In, out, good. We can now hide it if we want to in the skull, which we will do just like that. And good. Grab them all, make sure that it becomes the default resting state. And we got one more to do. You're going to have this like burned into your head by the time you're done. I'm not sure how many of you are planning to like create your custom character with facial expressions. This is a way you can do it that will be portable to Unity. Like that's the super important part. It actually will work. It just cleanly comes into Unity. But it's not super fun. I'm not going to lie. So I hope you can just kind of burn through this and just knock it out quickly on the homework. And that'll make things very pleasant for you. Okay, let's go back in to and grab another copy of that head bone, bring it on the Y-axis, bring it out to the eyes roughly. Let's go ahead and set up that parenting relationship just like that, like always. This is the right one, right? Yep, there we go. Let's go ahead and name this. It's going to be a bone for eyes, K-O. And now I'm going to click this, go back to object mode, say, hey, Blender, I want to parent it to a bone, and it's going to be the last bone that I selected in the edit mode. And we just do that quick test, grab it, bring it out, right, and in and out. This one is kind of long. You see it's just kind of peeking out of the cheek here. You could scale it if you wanted to. I'm kind of lazy for that. So I'm just going to shove it even further back so it's like behind her ears, and you really can't even see it now. So, yep, a little bit. There we go. Grab all these, and now we're going to go to apply pose as rest state. There you go. We now have all the eyes set up. And now, you're never going to believe this, but we have to do the same darn thing, but with the mouth pieces, okay? And basically, nothing changes. One tiny thing changes because a few of these mouth pieces look really weird, like they won't fit unless you pull them up, kind of. Yeah, that looks super. Oh, it's because I have to take care of this one. Okay, so we've got this one, mouth happy closed, that's already right there in position. So back into the armature, grab that head bone, make sure you're grabbing the right one. Shift D, Y, bring it out to the mouth about. Let's call this bone mouth. Let's call this, what is it? Happy closed? Or is it closed happy? Happy closed? Okay, we got to check. We do want to be kind of careful with our naming here. This is happy closed. Okay, yep, that was right. Okay, so let's come back in here. Let's make sure the parenting relationship is set up. Like always, keep offset. Bonus name, bone, happy closed. Good. Okay, select that one. Make sure it's the last bone we select in edit mode. Let's go and grab the object, parent it to the armature, but to the bone in particular. And now we're going to just test this bone. Okay, hide it, bring it out. Hide it, bring it out. Okay, looks good. And we can just kind of hide it right in here. It's not popping out the neck. That's good. Okay, rock and roll. Grab all of them, apply, pose as rest pose. Let's grab the next one. Won't last too much longer, fortunately. Bring it back in here. So this is going to be unhappy closed. So let's go ahead and grab these armatures, Shift D, bring it out to here. I'm going to call this bone mouth unhappy closed. And we need to set up the parenting relationship. Boom, there we go. We need to select this, make sure it's the last bone selected, grab that frown object and parent it to the armature and in particular that bone. Let's go ahead and test the bone. Okay, out, in, okay, good. Looking good, we can use it. Let's go ahead and bring the next object. These ones are kind of funky because actually you can't just move this back in the y-axis because it kind of is too vertically long. So it's going to kind of come out of her, it looks like a bib. This is weird, okay? What on earth? Okay, but it's coming out of her, what is this? Jaw? Neck? What is it? This is the neck. This is the jaw. What is this thing right here? Is this like... Yeah, okay, maybe. All right. So we're actually going to go ahead and I'm going to bring it out here. Wait, where is it? Where are you? Okay, here we go. Bring it out. Here we go. So just kind of get it on the edge here. That looks pretty good. I think it looks fine. There's a little bit of a gap if you look really closely. Not too bad, though. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I think it's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and make another bone. Head bone, Shift D, bring it out right over here. Oh, wait a second. This bone is just hanging out here. What's this bone doing? What? Unhappy closed. Okay, so unhappy closed looks like it is messed up. So let's go back, Control Z a few times, get this one out of here so we can figure out what happened. Okay, so in edit mode, let's bring this out here. Oh, I think the resting, oh yes, rest pose was not done. Okay, let's grab these, pose, apply. I accidentally Control Z too much. That's what happened. Yep, that's what happened. Okay, we're back in business, so let's go back in here to edit mode, grab the head bone, let's go Shift D, Y, bring it in, okay, to the mouth. That looks really good. Call this bone. It's going to be happy, open, bone, mouth, happy, open. Go ahead and set up the parenting relationship, Control P, okay. And now we can select this in edit mode and go ahead and bind the object to that particular bone. We can test it now, like always. And one tough thing is that we actually, if we want to bring it out, we bring it out here, that's fine. But if we want to hide it, we actually have to kind of bring it in here and then bring it up a little bit, like that, okay? So it might be a little bit more annoying to use this bone, because if you leave it this high on the Z-axis, if you ever bring it out like this, right, that looks okay maybe, but her mouth is a little bit too close to her nose. So if you brought up even like too much, right, it might look really strange being that high. So anyway, that's a pretty good place for it, and it's all working. So pose, apply, good. That's now the default. It's going to be a bit strange, but the default facial expression here is going to be an empty expression. So for every animation, you're going to have to choose what animation or what facial expression you want to bring out. Bring that bone out, keyframe it on the first frame of the animation, and then that's the facial expression you'll start the animation with. Okay, and we have, was that the last one? All right, one more. Rock and roll, we're good. Okay, bring this in. It's going to be another kind of annoying one because a little bit large vertically. Okay, that looks pretty cool. So let's go ahead and grab the edit mode on the armature here. Make one final bone, Shift D, Y, bring it out to the mouth here. We're going to call this bone mouth. It is unhappy open. And we're going to set up the parenting relationship. We're going to click this edit right here. In edit mode, click the bone, bring it up here, parent it like we always do, and then check that bone in pose mode to make sure it's going to do what we want. Good. Only annoying thing is, again, it's going to kind of come out. We're going to have to lift it up to hide it, which is kind of annoying, okay? You could shrink it. You could do other things if you want to. I'm going to hit A to grab all the bones, going to go to apply, and now this is just the basic initial state of our character when we start an animation, okay? So what could we do? What kind of animation do you want to do? Let's do one quick, crappy animation, and that we'll use these facial bones to kind of spice things up. What do you think? What should we do? Any idea? Yes.
Maybe like a jump or something.
Okay, yeah, a jump. All right. So a jump. So maybe she's going to start determined, right, with like a closed smile, kind of serious, and then she's going to jump up and she's going to be very happy. We're going to go to the happy eyes. We're going to go to the mouth open, happy, and so let's see if we can do that. I'm going to just try and create the basic. I'm going to try and create the first frame and then probably the last frame, or maybe the really important frames first. Let's create a new on the armature. Let's go ahead and enter pose mode. Let's create a new action. Going to save it, okay, preserve it, make sure it is fake usered, it can't get deleted. I'm going to call this victory. And the victory animation I did for the game took me a long time, where she actually like winds up and then jumps up, right? But this one's going to be a bit shorter. So let's go ahead and let's kind of just get her into position. Like maybe her arm's going to kind of start down like a normal kind of pose first. Grab them all, I to enter keyframe for all of them. Now, this is going to look really weird if we keep it like this. It looks kind of stylistic to not give your characters facial things. Makes them look like robots, I guess. But what I want is I want to bring out her determined eyes and her happy but closed mouth. So with all these bones here, can you tell me which one is the determined eyes? Do you actually know? Yeah. Bingo. Yeah, so visually speaking, you're helpless here. Usually it's really easy. You can tell this one is the arm, and you just grab it and start going. But this is when it's really going to become important that we named things properly. So I'm going to search for eyes, and actually I should search for bone eyes so that I don't get the objects. I just get the bone. And now what I want is that determined. I can just grab it in the outliner, G, Y, pull it right out like that until it looks pretty good. And I like that. So I've got the bone already selected, hit I, and now this is our initial facial expression. We want the mouth too, though, so mouth, let's go actually bone, mouth, and then we want that happy close. That's kind of a good determined look. So I can just kind of pull this one out, okay, just like that. And now, if you see, we're all set up for this animation to begin. So everything is set up. And now I want my bones back. I'll focus on the other bones first. So let's go ahead. And I actually think we probably should do a bit of a wind up. So maybe, I don't know, like we want her to like kind of bend the knees a little bit. So I wish I kind of had some IK going on because I don't really have that right now. Let's go ahead and just kind of bend the knees forward maybe, which is going to kind of be like... Let's do that, and then let's grab the hip bones. This is where we can kind of manipulate all of this. And we're going to just go ahead and kind of bring her forward like this. Let's go ahead and hit I. Let's go ahead and, were these the ones that got manipulated? Yeah, these two. I can tell by the orange over here. I hit I, it becomes yellow, it becomes keyframed. Look at this. This is actually like this. I think this could work for like a idol, right? So if you had an animation that was like the kind of like nervous but excited, right? Like that. right? So that's kind of cool, right? That's kind of fitting, but not really fitting a victory pose though. Okay, so she's going to kind of wind down. And you know, I kind of want to get the arms in on this too. What could she do with her arms? I'm wondering. Like they got to do something. Maybe, you know what she should do? She should start with her arms like kind of up like this, and then they bring them back like this as she leans forward. Yep, definitely, definitely. So let's do that. Bring them up like this, and then what's going to happen is that looks like she's going to give a hug or something. Let's go ahead and find out. Yep, it's on frame 100. I want these arms to kind of come back. Okay, I want them to come back like this and get ready for that swing. Okay, kind of like that. And okay, like that. And now she's going to just kind of hold that pose for just a little bit. And then she's going to explode, okay, upward. And so, wait, why is it only up here? I want all of these. Come on, come on. Okay, give me these, and I want to paste them all. What? Wait a second. What's going on? Why did it give me those? Okay, hold on a second. Oh, I think I accidentally grabbed these too. I don't want those. I just want everything on this particular frame. So I'm going to grab everything and put all the frames there. Yeah, okay, there we go. I didn't have enough frames keyed, I don't think. Grab these, hold it here for about 50 frames. So, okay, watch this. We're going to lean in, hold it, and then on frame 151, I want her to jump up, right? And as she's jumping up, I want her to change her facial expression, okay? So it's going to be very, very exciting. But you know what I'm actually going to do? You know what? I actually messed this up. Look at that. I got these on the wrong frame. That's okay, though. I think it's fine. Let's go ahead and kind of get her up into the air. Maybe we can freeze frame it because I'm feeling kind of lazy. You know, it can just be like an ending of a film, right? You jump up in the air and freeze frame and then fade to black and credits, right? Play some nice music. So she's going to start coming back up here. And I'm going to grab her hip bones, and we're going to bring her right up into the air like this. Okay, hit that. And now we'll like have her do the splits or something. Okay, and maybe bring it out like this. Okay. No, that looks a little bit painful. What should she? Oh, I think her legs should actually come back. Chun-Li. Okay, Yata. And we're going to have, let's see, what do we want to do? Let's have this kind of come back like that. Okay. Yeah. Maybe like that. And let's see, out like that. Rotate maybe, but like this. Okay. Okay, good. And then we're going to bring arms up like, yeah. Woohoo. All right, that actually looks really cool, I think. Oh, dang. That looks really good, actually, I think. Who knows if it'll look good in motion, but, you know, we'll find out. So what I want to do, though, is when she starts to go up, I want her facial expression to change. Before we go in and keyframe, you know, pull those facial expression bones out, put the other ones in, we want to think about this for a second. Right now, we only have one keyframe for these two facial expression bones that are out here. Actually, you know what? No, we got some more. But we want to make sure that, okay, we're here again, and then right here, okay, right here is when we want to flip. 152. So let's do this. Let's grab the mouth bone, just kind of put it back into her skull and keyframe that. And we're going to grab the eye bone right here and just kind of push it back into her skull and keyframe that. Uh-oh. Where'd it go? Okay, bring it back out. Okay, there we go. I lost it in my selection. I'm going to hit eye, and there we go. So watch this. Her eyes are out and determined, and then the moment we hit that frame 152, we start to go upward. The eyes are gone. Okay, they're buried back in her skull. Now, which ones do we want out? Well, I want that happy open, and I can find it right here due to my nice filter in the outliner. Oh my gosh, my voice is starting to go away. So in the winter, I teach 3 lectures on Mondays and Wednesdays. 494, 440, and then the game engine architecture 498. And so that's like, it's like 6 hours of lecturing. Heck yeah. Okay? The voice is toast at that point. I sound like I'm 80 years old. Okay, grab that happy open mouth bone. Now, for most of its existence here, it's just kind of chilling back here in the skull. We can see the keyframes. These keyframes got added because I was being lazy, and I hit A to grab all the bones that exist, and I hit I to just enter keyframe data for them. But normally what you'd need to do is you'd need to make sure that there's a keyframe that keeps it inside the skull until the exact frame before it needs to come out. So I'm going to hit G and Y, and I'm going to pull this mouth right out like that. I'm going to hit I, and that's where it's going to be for the rest of the... Oh, whoa, it's going back in? I don't want that. So you see this keyframe was made earlier. Oh yeah, and you see the determined eyes came out too. So that's one of the issues you can run into when you're just willy-nilly making keyframes for bones that you did not need to keyframe, okay? So we have to fix it, yes?
Would it be an issue if we just did what we did in previous homeworks and shift D and use that keyframe for like just...
Oh, and duplicate it?
Yeah.
I think that'd be fine. Yeah. So let's, what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna grab this, wait, hold on a second. We're dealing with this bone, good. Okay, what I wanna do is I wanna first make sure that these eyes don't come back, actually. So right here, you right there, okay, when you go away right on this frame, I'm gonna grab that data and I'm gonna actually paste it. Oh, there we go. So now the mouth is gonna just stay back there in the skull for eternity. I'm gonna grab this bone, I'm gonna grab these keyframes. So I wanna say that, I want you to carry that to the end of the animation. Good, this is exactly what we want. The facial expressions that we start with go away and they stay away, okay? So now, let's grab this mouth and we can see it's coming in, but then it's going away, it's going back in because of those earlier keyframes we made that we didn't have to make. I'm just gonna paste here and now we have exactly what we want. It comes in and it stays in until frame 180, the end of the animation. Okay, and what about the eyes? So what kind of eyes do we want? So let's go bone eyes, and I want happy eyes. Okay, so you can see we have a bunch of keyframes here on 152. I want to bring it out just like this. That looks great. Okay, looks fantastic, even with all the visual noise here. Looks good. I'm going to hit I to create that keyframe. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that keyframe to the end to make sure it doesn't sink back into her face, as we're seeing right there. And now, I think the last thing we'll probably do is we're gonna do that like epic cheesy ending. I'm gonna grab all the bones and I'm just gonna kind of copy and paste them. We're gonna just chill into like 2030. Okay, there we go. And so now I can save this. Let's go ahead and go to the timeline to see how this is gonna look when we play back. 230 is the ending. So it's going to loop for us. Okay, it's going to be nice. And now I'm going to turn off all these nasty bones, just causing the visual noise. And here we go. Ready? Okay, determined, going down, charging. Yeah! All right. I think that actually looks pretty good. I think the main issue is that she just kind of takes too long to get into her jump, right? She should really kind of just, she should try to go... right? And so like she just hangs down there awkwardly, like just looking at you. Like, are you gonna attack me? Right? So she's got to get through this early part of it faster. So what I'm gonna do is I really want to move all the bones and all the keyframes I've got. So let's turn all that back on, select all the bones with A, and now you can grab all the keyframes. Is that all of them? Really? I'm gonna go ahead and grab these and I'm just gonna kind of move them over like this. And let's see how this looks. A bit better. That's a bit better. This is too slow. So I'm actually going to grab these and I'm going to shrink that section where she just kind of chills with her knees bent a little bit. So watch this. Okay, that's looking better. All right. And we could move this to 140 and turn this off to actually get the full impression of how it's going to look. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And what you would do when you bring this to Unity is you would leave it with the looping off, right? Because you probably don't want this to like loop over and over again. It looks really choppy. You just want it to freeze there in the air for that epic ending, right? As, you know, Luigi or Yoshi or something just kind of looking like, what on earth? How are you levitating, right? Okay. Anyone have any questions? And again, why are we doing it in this clumsy way? Well, this is the way that I was experimenting, and this is the way that I was finally able to get a animation, a single action on a single object, the armature, from Blender into Unity, no changes at all on the Unity end, and it just works, okay? You use shape keys, you're in big trouble, okay? You might have to redo the animation on the Unity side. If you create an action that touches the armature, but then you need another action to kind of move the face in and out, because that's a different object, and you need a third action for the eyes in and out, that's another action. You want to be dealing with 3 actions, bringing over to Unity and getting them all to play at the same time, and like, oh my goodness, no, that sounds awful, okay? But this is not a very standard way of doing things. And when, you know, sometimes in this situation, yeah, people have done this before. When I showed this to Stephanie O'Malley, the actually incredible animator and 3D artist on campus, she chuckled. She's like, Austin, this is ridiculous. What are you doing? Blender stinks. Maya makes this easy. And but this is what happens, right? So you are the tech artist. You're a bit more techy than the 3D artists. You are a bit more arty than the engineers. And so you're the person who has to be doing experiments like this to figure out what kind of weird things do you got to do, what weird ways do you got to set up your character to get objects porting from one technical environment to another. And so that's what that's what they pay the big bucks to do. Okay? So, any questions? I'm surprised how cool this jump looks. I think oh my gosh, the facial expression makes it. I want you to imagine that she jumps up like that at the end, but her face doesn't change. It's like determined eyes. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't, okay? Anyway, all right, cool. Rock and roll. Well, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to, oh man, you think we should bring it into Unity? That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I just want to bring it into Unity to like make sure it's going to work and make sure it's going to be cool. And let's take our 5-minute break. I'm going to get a new Unity project created. We're going to see if we can bring this in and make it look kind of cool. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. And then we can go ahead and finish up. And I'm actually going to probably post this lecture to the homework 10, so that if you want to watch this, you can just follow the setup steps. It's going to be nice. The hand holding is going to come to a conclusion pretty soon, okay? So pretty soon, you're going to run into assignments where I'm not just telling you just do this video, right? So look forward to that, actually. It's a great challenge. It's a good test of your knowledge and skills, and that's how it's got to be, right? So if you go make your own game, I'm not going to be there. Maybe I'll play test it for you if you send it to me. But, okay. See you all in 5. Turn some music on. Okay, so riddle me this. How many of you were up late with me last night? Okay, how late did you get? Because I see some tired people in the audience. I want to know why. I demand an explanation. Okay? This is the reason I'm awake right now. Had one at like 8 p.m. and another this morning. What's that?
Coffee.
Coffee? Cool. Okay. How late? How late? Anyone hit 1 a.m.? 2? 3? 4? Okay. Nice. All right. Very good. I saw some of you working on your homework 9 still. My snapshot bot usually, I'll tell you what, it usually takes until about 7 p.m. to get everyone snapshotted. So if your repo is finished by the time you get snapshotted, you still get the points, all right? So who knows, maybe you can sneak in here with these office hours, sneak in across the finish line. We'll see. All right, so what I want to do, and this is just kind of a side thing, is I want to get this cool animation into a Unity project. Usually what I do is I go ahead and open a new Unity project. I want to create a little spotlight, okay? Now, you know, a cylinder is a really good way to do a spotlight. Take this cylinder right here, go ahead and make it kind of chunky, okay, on the X and Z axis, maybe like this, and we can make it really kind of short on the Y axis, and now we've got ourselves a nice little spotlight. This doesn't really look like a spotlight, it looks like a cylinder, but that comes down to lighting. Let's create a folder for materials. Stay nice and, oh, I made a material called materials. It's not what I wanted. Let's go to folder, materials. Stay nice and organized. Let's create a material called the spotlight. And I want this to probably be unlit. Let's go to Universal Render Pipeline, unlit. And I'm going to make it nice and yellow. Okay, let's theater spotlight. Now this background looks just nasty, right? The skybox, I'm a huge, I'm not a skybox fan, okay? Especially this one. If you ever see this skybox, you know whatever you're playing was like a 1 week thing, okay? And they barely knew what they were doing. So let's go to camera, and we're going to go to skybox. Background type, go to solid color instead. Just go to black. That's a really classy look. Looks fantastic. And move it over, center it. All right, looks good to me. Now we want to go ahead and kind of bring over our blend file and then export an FBX. Let's go ahead and create a characters folder. Characters folder. I'm going to create a folder for our character, Daisy. And let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and just take this file. I'm going to go ahead and save it in. But you know what? I actually want to grab the location of this folder first. Going to go to Show and Explore. Going to grab this right here. Okay, right out of the address bar. And I'm going to go ahead. Let's go to Save This Blend File. I can just paste it right in here. Very quick. Very nice. Go into the Daisy folder, and we'll just go ahead and save it right there. I can then go in and just export the FBX file right away. It'll be in the same darn folder. And now I can go back to Unity, and it will import both of them. Oh, actually not, I guess. Yeah, I guess not. Oh, yeah, that's why. Okay, because I'm in this blend file, which is not in my Unity folder. It's in, like, my Downloads folder. So I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, now it shows up. All right, whatever. Okay. But I have my character now. What I don't have are my images. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my blend file. I got to get those someplace. I could go look for the download again. Or I can go to one of these tabs that deals in images, like the UV editor. I can go to Image. I can go to Save As. And it should... No, it's not in the right folder. So let's go ahead and grab the folder. Oh, what happened to her face? Oh, goodness. That's spooky. All right, so let's go ahead and, where's our Unity project? It's going to be right in here. Show and Explore. Grab that address one more time, just like that. And now we can go to Image. I want to save this image someplace. We've got to use it. Go ahead and punch it right in there. Yep, save it right there. Do we have any other images we care about? We care about the hair bake. So let's go to Image, Save As. We're going to need that. Otherwise, the hair is going to look really weird. Let's go to, what else? Daisy Base. Templar Armor. I have no idea why this is in here. It just kind of is. Can we look at it? No. It doesn't even show up. It's nothing. I can see the tiny little preview image, but I can't see anything else. Okay, here we go. Here's the final image we care about. So save it to the normal place right there. Just punch it right in, copy and paste, and there we go. We got a lot of nice images, textures for us. We got to get these three materials out of the model, so we can do that really easily. Extract materials and just put it into the folder. Hair, we can go ahead and just dump it in like that. The expression.mat, we can just dump it in like that. And we can go to the base, and we'll just dump in the Daisy base right into the base map like that. This isn't going to look finished, but it's going to look, like it's getting there. Okay, and there we are. There's our little character, okay? And this looks kind of scuffed, all right? But we need to fix up some of these. So let's go to base, and this should probably be Universal Render Pipeline unlit. Okay, we get the kind of cartoony vibes. That's what we want. I think transparent. Yeah, let's try that one. Do you see how her fist looks really like grainy and mushy? It looks like an N64 game. Okay, does not look good. Very, very mushy pixels. Okay, we want crisp PlayStation Mega Man style pixels. Okay, so we're gonna go to each of these. I'm gonna Control select them because we're gonna make the same change to all of them. They're all mushy, but I'm going to change the filter mode from bilinear, which is kind of like it's kind of like a blur that gets applied to textures. For realistic textures, it looks really nice, but for these classic, like, gamey textures, we want to go point filter, i.e. no filter. Apply and watch what happens to this fist right here. Boom. Much more crisp. Looks a lot better now. Let's go ahead to these other messed up materials. We're going to go to the same place. Universal Render Pipeline unlit. Okay. And we can see here that the background of the eyes is kind of not getting chopped out. So go to transparent. Okay. And I think that, does it look okay, or is that messed up? We can kind of see the inside of her mouth. We can see multiple mouths. Look at that. Ugh. Yeah, I don't like that so much. We'll see if we can fix that in a bit, because I don't remember what I did to fix it in the actual final game. Did I just leave this? You know what I might have done? I might have just made this unlit, like, well, what did I do? What did I do to it? Transparent cutout? Yeah, I think I might have chosen unlit transparent cutout instead of universal render pipeline. That actually looks really good, and we can't see the other mouths buried in her face, okay? So some trivia. In Super Smash Bros. Melee, there was a trophy that had a hidden eye inside of it. I think it was actually just like a UV texture that was just kind of hiding an eye inside of Daisy's skull, because it was Daisy's trophy there where she also had things hidden inside of her skull. So this is just a recurring thing, it seems. Let's go to the hair. Let's go to Universal Render Pipeline unlit. And I don't think we care about transparency at all here, and it just looks amazing. That looks pretty good. That looks about like it did in Blender. Now, if our camera, for whatever reason during gameplay, ever clips into her skull, we're going to see the other objects. Now, we could write some C# code that would actually disable these objects whenever we don't need them, okay? Like, I can do that now. You're seeing me make them go away. But actually, we don't care that much, because really, we shouldn't be going inside her skull during gameplay anyway. So, here she is, and let's go ahead and get her the right size, because look at this, super tiny, and I can fly around. Everyone, this is the best way to look around in Unity. You put your mouse over the viewport, you right-click and move it. You get this eye, kind of look around. Use WASTA with your other fingers, your other hand, like you're playing a video game. You can just fly around and get the perfect angle super quickly. I see people trying to use like pan, and that's it, and rotate, and it's super slow. Like, that's what you might do it in Blender. Okay, don't do that. I could scale this up, but I'm actually, on the game object, I could scale this up right here, but I'm actually going to scale all of this on the model itself, the import model. Let's go ahead and give it like a 10 and see if that's looking good. Oh, that looks really good, okay? But turn her around, please, because we can't actually see it, the character. And then let's make sure not floating. Okay, not floating. Yep, that looks fine. And now, if we play the game, nothing is going to happen, because this game object needs an animator component if it's going to animate. And we just don't have that. So she's kind of stuck in her previous animation here. If we look inside of here, we can find that one action right here, Armature Victory, and we can actually watch it to make sure Unity has imported it properly. I'm going to play it, and yeah, so you can see even her facial expressions come through perfectly. Looks amazing, okay? Absolutely amazing. Let's go ahead and, this is not a prefab yet, so let's go ahead and close this. I'm going to drag this in. We now have a nice prefab, so we could create more if we needed to, or we could have the game spawn her in for us. I'm going to create an animator. I just want her to do this one animation, so I'm going to go ahead and just create one quick animation controller. Let's call this Quick Controller. And I'm going to open it up. And the only thing I want to bring out is that one entry thing, and there it goes, set up immediately. And now we can tell our prefab that we want to use that quick controller. If you make changes to an instance of the prefab, like what we see here, right? So this is the prefab, Daisy for Unity starting.prefab. This right here in the hierarchy is an instance of the prefab, a game object spawned from the prefab. Well, if you make changes to the instance of the prefab, the game object, it's not actually, those changes are not going to be on the prefab. So the animator that we added onto this instance, if we go into the actual prefab, it's not there. Well, a really cool thing is that you can say, you know what? I want to take all the changes I made to this game object and put them onto the prefab. So I can click on this right here, and I can go to overrides. I can click apply all. Now my prefab just got updated. If I go in, it's got that animator, okay? So just a really quick, cool little tip right there, a pro strategy. And now let's go ahead and just watch this. The problem is the animation is going to end really quickly. So, you know, make sure you don't miss it. Here you go. And go. You know what's interesting? Her neck is messed up. What's up with that? Okay, you know what I'm going to try and do? Because I don't like that at all. Okay, that neck is all messed up. Yeah, that looks nasty. You're probably still getting full points for this, but we're going to grumble about it for sure. So what I want to do is I used a particular material here on the expressions to kind of fix them. Let's see, what material did I use? I used just transparent cutout, unlit transparent cutout. I'm going to try it on this one, see if this works. Unlit transparent cutout. Nice. Okay, hold on a second. Let's see if that is going to fix our problem for us. You just got to experiment. You know, I forgot which ones I had used, okay? Cool. Looks good. Okay, cut to credits. All right? Yeah.
If you delete the game object that the prefab is based off of, do you screw up the prefab?
No. No, so we have this game object that was kind of born from the prefab. But, you know, it's the nature of a prefab that we say, well, I want to have like many game objects spawn from that prefab, right? And, you know, I can delete any of these that I want. I can delete all of them, and the prefab is just going to still be there, okay? Prefab is like a recipe. And, you know, you don't have to have the dish. You don't need to be making the dish to have that recipe lying around for a later time when you want it. So prefab's super powerful. Now, one thing that could happen, okay, and this is going to be kind of spooky actually, because this might break the project. I got 3 game objects that are all born from and referencing this prefab. If I go into this prefab and I like make a change, like I'm going to make her really wide, now all of the instances get that change, right? So that's how prefabs work. But what happens if you do the opposite of what you said and you delete the prefab, okay? Delete this prefab, which these 3, here they are, 3 game objects are counting on. Watch what happens to these. The color's going to change. Watch this. Uh-oh. Rest in peace, okay? Because now these 3 game objects have kind of been orphaned. They don't really have, it looks like they're still going to work, but they don't really have a prefab that they are using anymore. So they're kind of on their own. I guess we can get this back by doing what? Grabbing it, bringing it back in. And boom, now it's fixed again. Yeah, okay. Anyway, yeah, kind of cool, isn't it? All right, anyway, what are the takeaways here? You're a tech artist. So you have to get used to experimenting and poking around. It took me like 4 or 5 hours to figure out, to like try a few methods to get animations, facial expressions to port over. And like that one didn't work, that technique didn't work. This technique, I tried this technique and I was like, this is messy, this is nasty, this isn't fun at all. But then it worked, right? And so you very much kind of feel like a scientist sometimes when you are being a tech artist. You are playing around with these technologies. Like you don't know what Sketchfab is going to do when you try and upload something. You have to kind of experiment and try some different things out until you find a method that reliably works. And it's a very comfy, you know, pipeline. Have you ever heard of the term pipeline in relation to like 3D content and game dev and even films? I'm not an expert on this topic, okay? You'll want to ask Stephanie about this. But pipeline is kind of what we built here, okay? An artist has these facial expressions they want to get into these wonderful animations and then into Unity. Well, the pipeline is what we figured out today. We found a way to encode those facial animations into an arbitrary animation, which can then flow through the pipeline to Unity without causing too much trouble. okay? And as your game gets bigger, as the characters get more involved, there are more pieces of them, you have to make that pipeline more and more interesting. And sometimes you can automate it with like Python scripts and other tools. And sometimes you just need to write that thing up and make sure no one deviates from it. And, it's just going to be a manual process, bringing characters over. That's just how it's going to be. But you have to figure out that pipeline and make sure it's going to work and that people don't mess it up. Because the artist's probably not going to figure it out. The engineer isn't going to figure it out. Okay? And so that's left to you. Any questions or comments? Another thing that's useful, you know what I was going to do if these materials continued to look crappy? You know what I was going to do? I was going to open up the old Tomb Raider project, the old Daisy's Tomb Rescue project. I'm going to look at what materials I used to make that look good. Because the things you've done in the past, you can go back to them if you ever get kind of confused or you forget what you need to do in the future. Okay? So sometimes what's not important, it's not super important that you remember exactly what to do. What's important is that you remember that you did do it correctly in the past and you remember how to get back to it. That's why version control is so important. Okay? If your project, if you did things correctly, you imported the character beautifully, but you did it a year ago and you saved it onto a flash drive, which you can't find anymore, and then you find it and the flash drive is broken, like flash drives just tend to die, every few years, you're toast, okay? But if you put it into Git and you push that commit, that project to the cloud, it's safe in the cloud. And as long as you can log into your GitLab account and eventually find it, you can clone it back down, you can look at it exactly what it was. You can even go back in time to earlier commits if you want to, okay? So you can do all sorts of great stuff with version control. And yeah, so any final questions or comments? Okay, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to be doing in the homework this week, and this is the kind of thing that you're going to get faster and faster at. It's going to be very painful to get started with, but the more you do it, the more you import these characters, the more you create those common sets of actions, the more fun it's going to be. Okay, no one wants to set up these characters. You want to get to the animating, right? You want to get them in. You want to get them looking cool, okay, moving really cool. And so you're going to get to spend more and more of your time dealing with that stuff instead of fussing with the setup and with the import process, okay? I think maybe when you graduate this course in just a few weeks, that's the most important thing. You can move into your own game projects and you can spend much more of your time on the interesting problems, right? The really fun stuff instead of the, why does it not import properly? Why does it look like it's inside out, right? That kind of stuff, okay? Okay, yes?
How did you change the background again?
Yeah, so you can go to the main camera. And the main camera, so the camera is kind of responsible for answering the question of, if I look out into my scene, into my frustum, right here, frustum is like this pyramid shape. If I look out into the scene for interesting things to draw, but I see nothing, right? What should I draw? Well, the camera is kind of responsible for answering that question. And so normal, by default, it draws this terrible, awful skybox. But you can actually tell it that, hey, you should actually draw a solid color instead. And you can change it to be whatever you want. You can even change this with code at runtime if you want to. Yeah, so there you go. Okay. Cool. All right, everyone. I will see you on Wednesday. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to talk about on Wednesday. Maybe it will just be an office hours day to help you get through this homework. You know, for those of you who decide to start it before Sunday night. All right. And yeah, have fun. Go blue. Go animate something. Create cool characters. When you get into that recording booth, if you're nervous, okay, everyone's nervous in that recording booth. But we got to get you out. We got to get you in front of people. We got to get your portfolios out there on the internet, okay? You cannot, you can run, but you cannot hide, okay? You want to be an impactful artist. You want to be a member of the team, of any team. You have to go out there and make things, and you have to put those things out there, And sometimes they stink, and sometimes they bomb badly, okay? The game I just put out, the horror game on Switch, I'm probably going to make like $100 from that. 5 years of development, $100, okay? Big bomb. Might not even get good reviews. Maybe it's going to get like a 5 out of 10, okay? But it's out there, and that counts for something, all right? And the next thing will be better, and this is going to apply to you too. You have to put something crappy out there so that you can then put something decent out there so that you can then start putting out something pretty good. Okay, I will see you on Wednesday. See you then. Okay, everyone online, take care, and yeah, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.